Hello, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Hope you're well. We have got a special guest with us today. No other person than Mark Dennison from BBC Radio Nottingham. So, welcome to the channel.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here.
Yeah. Well, obviously with Forest this season being back in the Premier League, I mean, how you finding Forest being back in the top flight?
Wow. Yeah, I think sometimes it's been a bit of a roller coaster, isn't it?
Yeah,
And I think some games have just been absolutely amazing. I mean, with that, before we start talking about results and everything, the atmosphere at the City Ground is just amazing, and it's brilliant to hear. Now that the spotlight is on Forest, I think people are kind of noticing the atmosphere and noticing what a great setup it is, what a great head coach we have, and the backing he's had and everything. So they're the pluses. I think some of the performances, especially away from home, have been results likewise. I think at home it's been generally a different story, and now we're coming into a really crucial bit of the season, aren't we? And I think it's just going to be really tight.
Yeah, it is, to be fair. I mean, it has been really remarkable this season, that City one. I mean, the fan base just been that second player this season, and some of the results that we're seeing sort of gone off from the fan base being behind them.
Yeah, and I know Steve Cooper's talked about away form, and we've had some examples of that. Obviously, with West Ham, I mean that was a bad one. Spurs, in some ways, Spurs are Spurs, and they're top six for a reason, aren't they? But West Ham in particular was bad. And it just feels like you just kind of get a good momentum going with the home games, and then you go away, and it's literally been like that throughout most of the season. Yeah. And I don't know. I worry a little bit that if you rely too much on home form, that almost becomes a pressure. And I think we began to see it a little bit in the last home game, that really, you were hoping for 3 points there, and in the end it was point shared. And I don't know, there comes a point, especially in this time of the season when things are getting tight, we're getting towards the end of things, where there's so much pressure, players start to feel it, the crowd picks up on it, and vice versa. And I hope we don't get into that, into going into the last game of the season. But the way things are going, it's just got a bit tight in the bottom of the table again. So we will see.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're quite lucky as well because of we got that game in hand against Leeds coming up as well, and with where we are, I mean, we got Newcastle on Friday. I mean, if we can get something out of Newcastle and the results go away, it will set us up quite nicely, don't you think?
Well, definitely, and it just goes to show, one. It's a no cliche, isn't it? But one game can change an awful lot. And as I say, the last home game, had we won that, that was Everton, wasn't it? So that could have, if we'd got 3 points there, that would have put us 12th, and that would have put us, any point, 1 or 2 points can make all the difference at this time in the season, especially when things are getting so close down the bottom. But you're right. I mean, Newcastle, they're another one away from home. Who knows? They started really, really strong. They've had a bit of a wobble. I think the last couple of games they've begun to have. Is that a comeback, or is that just a bit of a blip? Guess we'll find out on Friday. But don't get me wrong. All the games, and especially all the home games, are absolutely huge. It just worries me that this relying on home games, I hope it doesn't become an extra pressure.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, what do you think of Steve Cooper? Because obviously he had a tremendous 18, 19 months, and I mean, it took us to first quarterfinals in quite a while. First semi-finals took us to Wembley and got us promoted.
Well, to me, Steve has just done wonders. He is. It's quite amazing what he's done. You mentioned there, the cup runs. When you think as well, 18 months ago where we were in the championship, and then to come in, turn it around, get to within sniffing distance of the playoffs. And I think it was at that point, I think a few of us thought, blimey, are we really going to make this? And then we were in the playoffs and then Wembley and the whole thing. And I think sometimes, when times are tough, I think sometimes we have to remember times like that and what a journey it's been to get here. And I know Steve himself has said, look, we need to enjoy the journey and enjoy the ride. And I think he's right. I think he's absolutely right that we do. And he has done wonders. And I think he is the first as well to point out that, we're all learning at the moment. This is all new for Forest. So he hasn't managed in the Premier League. Very few of the players that we've got have played in the Premier League. We've got a real mix of young players who've come up through the leagues with us, international players. And I'm bored now of some of the national media talking about so many signings. We needed those signings, and we have got an eclectic mix, and really we've got a good enough squad to at least stay up. But no, Steve Cooper deserves absolutely all the plaudits for what he's done. It's just amazing.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I remember going to work the next morning after the Middlesbrough game, and one of the Radio Nottingham reporters stopped me and had a conversation with me about it, and I just didn't know what to say because I felt really deflated. And when Hooton gone and Cooper came in, I'm like, well, okay, see what he does. And towards back in the last season, it weren't to really like the West Brom game when I started to like really believe could we do it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I could listen to him talk all day. I mean, I think after a game, win, lose or draw, he's very honest. He is a brilliant people person. So his way of managing players has been absolutely top notch. I love the way he's bought into the philosophy of the club because I think sometimes Forest we've had a lot of we've had some managers who've kind of wanted to ignore the past, others that want to kind of relive the past. And I think actually the best way to do it is a bit like Steve's done, where you kind of go, all right, that was great. Let's not forget that, but let's create our own new history now. And that's what he's trying. Well, it's what he has done, isn't it? I mean, he's already achieved a hell of a lot. And I hope that he's going to be there for a long, long time. And, who knows what he and the squad and the people behind Steve as well can achieve in the coming years. I think it's potentially really exciting.
Yeah, it's very exciting. I mean, we went through that patch as well. It was after the Leicester game that week. It was really bleak because there was that talks of like Cooper and it going and that, and for them to back him there and just shows how much confidence that the hierarchy does have in Cooper.
Yeah, yeah, and you're right. I mean, that run, the Leicester game, what was that, 4-0? And
Yeah,
there was a time, and I think maybe there was a little bit of a honeymoon period at the beginning of the season because it was all new, shiny, and new, and first home game, it's great and it's all going to be fine. I think we all knew that reality was going to kick in, and sure enough, it did. But as I said before, he is the first to admit that he's maybe not learning on the job isn't the right expression, but this is all new, and we have to, adapt. And he's adapted. He liked his 3 at the back, and he's gone to 4, and changed his style and changed the personnel. He's not afraid to mix up the squad and the team a little bit. And I think there's no. What I really like as well is that not only are people talking about Forest because now we're on the big stage, people talk about Forest in the City Ground, but people are noticing Steve Cooper as well, and I think that is great. The downside is obviously he gets linked with loads of other jobs, but when you hear him talk about Forest, I don't think he's got anything else on his mind apart from staying exactly where he is and carrying on this great job.
Yeah, definitely, and it seems to take the pressure off the players as well, because when he does talk, it's just sort of like down to earth and honest with it, and it takes the pressure off the players. And even when they play well, it's just really honest about it, which I love about him.
Yeah, and I don't know. Sometimes you can hear managers after games, and I don't know. It's always if something's gone wrong, it's always someone else's fault. I think Steve holds his hands up, and he has done actually, and said, "Look, all right, that was either me or a player's fault or the team's fault. We'll learn from it." He doesn't go lambasting them in front of the media. He says, "Okay, all right, we'll take it away, and we'll work on that," and they do. And I do think sometimes we do have to, and I've had this conversation with a lot of people where you do think. I mean, you mentioned there the Leicester away game and one or two others where you think, oh, I mean, we do. As football fans, we do. Our mood goes up and down like a yo-yo.
Yeah,
And sometimes you do have to think, yeah, actually, we've come an awful long way, and Championship to Premier League there's a world of difference between the two, and not just the amount of focus in it, but the style of play is very different. And you've got a different team, obviously, every week. You can be playing Man City, and by the way, that was a brilliant game
yeah,
at home. And then you're playing Everton, and you know what you're going to get with Everton, but it's very, very different every single game, and I think more so than the Championship.
yeah.
It's a world away.
Yeah, definitely, and you can see the growth between the Premier League and the Championship. And when you do come down from the Premier League to the Championship, the teams that are there, you can tell they got that money and the quality for them to compete.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, again, people talk about the amount of signings with Forest and how much and blah blah blah. But we know that was necessary because of a number of players going. Premier League, you need a much bigger squad anyway. And blimey, when you look recently, the amount of injuries, thank goodness a few of them are starting to come back now. But we needed that. We needed some new blood, and it's shown as well. He's needed that rotation within the squad, and I think it's been great as well that despite all of those new faces coming in, you look over the last few games, and one of the people who's kind of come back into the fold is Jack Colback. And
Yeah,
he was Mr. Consistent last season, the year before as well. I mean, he's playing at left back for a lot of the previous campaign, and for him to come back in and just slot in, it's fair play to him, and fair play to the head coach and the people behind the scenes for getting him ready to do that as well. So look, I mean, we'll see what happens over the next couple of months. I mean, we are coming down to the wire now, aren't we? And we'll see how it goes. But I never ever do any kind of predictions, but from what I see and hear, the determination is well and truly there to keep Forest in the Premier League.
yeah, definitely, and it's good for like Nottingham as well to have a Premier League team in there. And I mean, it's bringing a lot more like tourists and all that from, and the national media coming there. I mean, the signings and the transfer what we needed to do it, but in the long run, it will benefit Forest because of people will get to say, yeah, I've finally got my own squad now, because last season it just picked it up on like Hooton squad, and now you have to rebuild it again to get the squad what we need and what he wants as well.
Yeah, yeah. And I think we saw that in January, didn't we? At some new faces came in. You know, Shelvey for one. I think he's done a solid job. And again, that's kind of he's got Premier League experience, which we didn't have that much of in the squad. It's good to see Ryan Yates come back, by the way, as well. If we're talking about midfield, you know, he looks like he's coming back and he's getting himself fit, and I think that's only a good thing, because I think he, up until the point where he was out of the squad, I think Ryan was doing absolutely brilliantly. And for a guy who, you know, when we were in the Championship as well, would sometimes be on the receiving end of some stick, that has pleased me no end. Brennan Johnson is another one as well that, you know, it's taken him a little while to adapt. He's probably the perfect example of adapting to the Premier League. It is a completely different way of playing. He was maybe being asked to play in a different kind of way, and look at him go now. So yeah, I think there are some really, really positive signs in there, especially, you know, as we go through the rest of March, April, and we go into May as well, don't we, with this season? So more players that we get back fully fit, all the better.
Yeah, definitely. I wanted to talk about the academy lads that I came through and cementing themselves, like Wobble, Yatesy, and Brennan. Whereas Wobble, I mean, what he's been through past couple of years when he first came in, then been sent out on loan to Rangers, then for him to be leading Forest out, it is a massive achievement for him. And Yatesy, to see how much stick he got, and now he's vice captain and doing so well. And with that, Brennan and the rise of him since he went on out on loan to Lincoln, I mean, them three, it will just give the academy boys a lot more confidence to say, yeah, these guys are here and we can get there if we work like they have.
Yeah, and I think as well, you know, the other thing with that is that, again, you look at Steve Cooper's philosophy, and the reason why he wanted Joe as captain and Ryan as vice captain was that with the new names in the dressing room, and actually the ones that weren't new as well, but anyone not from Nottingham would know from those two how important it was, and still is. You were talking about how important it is to have a Premier League team in the city, and you're right. I mean, it's a huge kind of badge of honour for tourist reasons, economic reasons, for businesses, you know, whoever. And I think, you know, Steve's point was that those two get it. They know exactly what it means for the club, but for the wider city, dare I say the county as well, to have a Premier League team. And that was the reason he put them into the dressing room in those roles. Now, you can look at, you know, and I'm sure people do, they analyse people's performances. You know, Worrell's been on the end of some stick recently as well. But the reason he's captain is that. So in the dressing room, people look at him and he can say, look, this is so important because X, Y, Z. We don't know what goes on in the dressing room anyway. So I see a lot of speculation on social media about, you know, who's the real leader, blah, blah, blah. Quite often managers talking about needing 11 leaders on the pitch anyway. So actually, you could say we get in a better position now. You know, Shelvey is a leader. Colback is a leader. He's got experience. Brennan is becoming a leader as well. And he's only still very young. So, you know, I think the signs on that are good as well.
Yeah, definitely. It is looking promising. And I mean, especially on that front and going forward, it's really, really good that we are seeing leaders coming on now, and that. So I couldn't agree more with you. But yeah, thank you for coming on anyway.
Absolute pleasure. No, it's been good fun. Love talking Forest. Love talking. Do a lot of that. So just everything crossed for the next few weeks.
Yeah, definitely. So hopefully we still get a Premier League team next season that will stay up. So thank you for coming on anyway. Thank you for watching, guys, as per usual. Do hit the like and subscribe to the channel. So I'd like to say thank you and goodbye.